Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Psychic Frank, and thank you so much for sharing some time with me. Take a deep breath, Frank. Yeah, I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. I had cataracts removed. It comes with approaching 70. And I had no idea, like I was seeing dark muddy maroon for bright red and yellow, and I still have to wear dark glasses. I'm still healing, but I wanted to come here because so much is going on. Mars in Aquarius makes this a summer. It's going to be a force of nature. We're going to talk all about that. It's all about embracing our individuality. Yeah, planet Uranus entered Taurus a couple of days ago, and that's a rare event. And there's always a signature event that marks when something that happens every 80 something years happens. And everybody didn't have to be on the lookout. See, my eyes are still, excuse me, my eyes are still pretty weird. I can't focus that much because I'm using drops and this prescription doesn't work. But I don't have readers yet, and I have a lot to read. So these are going to have to suffice until a couple of weeks, and then I get my eyes re-examined. I always don't complain, don't explain. But I want to just explain that. Don't think, because give you a little a hall pass there because I just wanted to come in and tell everybody what an event this is. Yeah, so the entry, everybody didn't have to look far. The entry of Uranus's entry into Taurus was marked, I think, no doubt about it. I know it by the biggest explosion is yet to come, Kilauea on the big island of Hawaii. Yeah, this is a big deal. It's telling, the message is Mother Earth is alive. The planet is a living thing, and it's being raped and. I just saw something. It says plants can survive without humans, but humans cannot survive without plants. It says we the people. It does not say we the corporations, we the Christians, we the straights, we the white, we the rich, we the men. How did the war on poverty become the war on poor? Yeah, Donald Trump called refugees, fleeing war-torn poverty and rape and miserable countries, animals. Wow, that's like, he's just a symptom of what's going on. It was a few years ago I stopped watching Wheel of Fortune because that moron Pat Sajak had this woman of color on, and she was a nice enough lady. And he says, "What do you do for a living?" And she's, "I'm a probation officer. I work with animal control." And he laughed. They had a big, and I went to, and I was like, and oh, they were hucking it up like that was the funniest thing. She was saying her job as a probation officer was equal, like these human beings that were coming to her for help, whose freedom were in her hands as their, and she was calling them animals. And that was, I don't know, 10 years ago. And since then, I have no respect for Pat Sajak, So there's no surprise that Donald Trump would and his people would applaud a comment saying that refugees were animals when his refugees, his people, at one time. This is a country of. So, before, I always mention Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And I was reading this the other day, and I said, before I get into all the astrological stuff that's going on, we just had the Scorpio Taurus new moon. Everything's in Earth now. It's all about the feminine. Earth signs and water signs are feminine. Air and fire are masculine. So it has nothing to do with sexuality, but it has a lot to do with female being inner, more mysterious. Okay, so Louise Hay, this book, if you ever get it, Louise Hay, You Could Heal Your Life, this should be on everybody's medicine cabinet because in the middle of it, from coma, conjunctivitis, corns, hardened areas of thought, stubbornly holding on to the pain of the past. The new thought pattern is I move forward, free from the past. I am safe. I am free. So I used to go back in the early 80s to Fort Mason and listen to Louise Hay give lectures. And when I got this book, and when you read this, it's exactly how she spoke. I just loved her so much. I still love her even though she's no longer on the planet. And she says, I just want to read a couple of short paragraphs here, and then we'll get on to all this stuff. So she says, just for a moment, let's just get to some cosmic energy going on here. She says, just for a moment, try to visualize the vastness of the universe. It is beyond our comprehension. It's a mystery. Even our top scientists with their latest equipment cannot measure its size. Within this universe, there are many galaxies. In one of these smaller galaxies in a far-off corner, there is a minor sun. Around this sun, a few pinpoints revolve, one of which is called planet Earth. I find it hard to believe that the vast, incredible intelligence that created this entire universe is only an old man sitting on a cloud above the planet Earth watching my genitals! Exclamation point. Yet so many of us were taught this concept as a child. It is vital that we release foolish, outmoded ideas that do not support us and nourish us. I feel strongly that even our concept of God needs to be one that is for us, not against us. Like I was telling you, the things I hear, and then I pull a Dr. What's his name on him, Dr. Phil. Well, how's that working for you? You know, there are so many different religions to choose from. If you have one that tells you that you are a sinner and a lowly worm, get another one. Yeah, I find that most bladder problems come from being pissed off, usually at a partner. Something makes us angry that has to do with our femininity or our masculinity. Women have more bladder problems than men because they are more prone to hide their hurt. Yeah, vaginas, again, usually involves feeling romantically hurt by vaginitis. Yeah. Men's prostate problems have a lot to do with self-worth, also believing that as he gets older, he becomes less of a man. Impotence is fear. This book is amazing. I reread this so many times, and it's always with fresh eyes. It's always with fresh eyes. It's called You Could Heal Your Life, Louise Hay. Because, a lot of people now are, what's a big one now that's... let's just, as I said, on TV now, they have all kinds of, for profit. No other country in the developed world has for-profit health insurance care. No other country in the developed world has for-profit insurance health care. That is why they have lower health care costs than we do. Their people aren't burdened with the cost of supporting billionaire health insurance executives and the millionaires who work for them. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is so important. We'll get back to Louise Hay if we have time. The secret of freedom lies in educating people, whereas the secret of tyranny is in keeping them ignorant. And Donald Trump loves the ignorant. As I said on one of my shows recently, I went down and he follows like verbatim the fascist handbook. Get people to not trust the media. Quantum physics tells us that nothing that is observed is unaffected by the observer. And that statement from science holds an enormous and powerful insight. It means that everyone sees a different truth because everyone is creating what they see. So when science tells you this is how this looks, they're telling you their opinion. When they take something out of its norm and they put it in isolated and inject it with colors and put it in certain lights and get these scientific latest things about, they're not seeing, they're seeing what they want to see there. Okay, Shihara law, the law of Islam, Here are some of the statements. Government based on religious doctrine. Women have fewer rights than men. Rejecting science in favor of religious doctrine. No separation between church and state. Religion is taught in schools. Abortion is illegal. Homosexuality is outlawed. It goes on and on. So that's what's going on. Okay, so we just so what happened now the other day on the Taurus new moon was on May 15th. And even though it's past, because today's the 17th, this show, oh, by the way, if you used to see me on Thursdays, the 2nd and the 4th, that's no longer happening. A slot opened up here where this Kilauea, we lost her. She's not lost. She went home to her reward. She graduated from Earth School, and we miss her. And the space became open, and right after me, Denise Story is going to be here. We're both members of Access of Love, a cannabis activist and advocate for patients' rights. Access of Love. We've been around for a while, and we're always at City Hall, you know, getting a seat at the table with all these cannabis laws going on. So always watch Denise Story now. She's on at 6 o'clock right here, the 1st and the 3rd, and I'm at 5 o'clock, the 1st and the 3rd from now on. So if you want to call in, I do a reading for you. So yeah, this Taurus new moon we just had heralds a revolution in our relationship with the material world. Just hours after the sun and moon conjoined in Taurus, 24 degrees, Uranus, planet of radical change, enters Taurus for the first time since 1942. It's like 6 years before I came along. Wait, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 6 years, and I came in 48. The first of the earth signs, Taurus represents our basic survival needs: security, food, shelter, clothing, money. While Aries is in the fire sign. While Aries is the fire sign that sparks new life, Taurus sustains life as the builder, farmer of the earth, ruled by Taurus. Yeah, this was see, Mercury in Taurus also is a mutual reception with Venus and Gemini, the depositor of this new moon. Their empowerment supports the higher potential of reawakening our sensory intelligence and capacity to communicate with nature. It's beautiful. You know, there comes a time where, as you get older, you start, after your first Saturn return, you start reaching a point where you start to, healthy people start to transcend their ego. Egos are a healthy thing, and I'd be the last one to bash egos. Everybody says, oh yeah, egos are horrible, they get me in so much trouble. No, out of control egos will get you in trouble, as Donald Trump is the total example on what not to do. You know, he didn't, you know, most parents, I would imagine, I never had kids, but children, but I imagine, like, because of my own childhood, even though I was reared by, I would have been better off being reared by wolves. I was put into an adopted family which tried to kill me. They were not my friends, so that was, I'm over it. But the thing is at least I was told not to lie real early in life. I mean, they enjoyed putting soap in my mouth when I told a lie. And then by the time I was 5 years old, I was Honest Abe, you know. I wasn't going to tell any lies. Obviously, Donald Trump not only is an out-of-control, pathological, sociopathic liar, imagine being married to him. Boy, his wives, well, we live in a bisexual world, B-U-Y, you know, I don't know. So being married to a liar is no fun, you know. It says 24 keys to transcend the ego is the central figure of our, you can get this right on the computer, just Google it up. 24 keys to transcend the ego is the central figure of our personal history based upon past. Our ego is a personal history. See, that's why when you transcend the ego, a lot of people get in trouble. Well, everybody wants more money, more money, more money. And you do a workshop on money and prosperity, It'll be the hardest work you've ever had to do. You do a workshop on rape, incest, murder, think of something hideous and do a workshop on that. The day will fly by. You'll feel guilty for being paid to facilitate it. You do a workshop on money, it's the hardest work you'll ever have to do. You know, people will confront you. They get angry, you know, because they get real defensive because people's beliefs around money are there like white on rice from when their beloved grandfather who adored them more than any human being on the planet looks in their eyes and give them a little 10 cents and says, now you put this in your piggy bank because someday you'll need this for a rainy day. You know, their hearts were in the right place, but they were instilling this whole lack of limitation. So you can release that now with Jupiter and Scorpio and transformation, and replace that void with I am an unlimited being, accepting from an unlimited source in an unlimited way. Now, you don't just say that a couple of times. I'm saying like 500 times when you're introducing a new thought pattern. It's no disrespect. Your parents did the best they could with what they had to work with. But that doesn't mean that you have to, that you're somehow refusing to stay ignorant in certain areas out of respect. You know, no. So this is going to be a summer where we all need to get involved, you know. So there's like 24. I just wrote down 3 or 4, and then I got writer's cramped and stopped. But I'm going to get back little by little because I like to write things down. When I write things down, they become real for me. It is a dissatisfied, possessive, small ego that often makes our life a misery. It is for certain that the small ego, or more precisely what we believe is ourself, our ego coiled up tightly in the back of our minds, is responsible for a tremendous amount of senseless and unnecessary suffering and destruction in the history of mankind. Our spiritual journey arises the question, how do we transcend an ego? It's a very personal thing, but it's an individual thing. And when you start, so many times that people will call me and they'll just tell me something, and then I'll say, wow, who are you, God? You know, they just, a lot of times we eat the menu instead of the meal. I'm fishing for an example, it's just not coming to me. You know, so this, everybody, so I'm really excited now about, okay, the ego is not bad, it is simply unconscious. Your true self that survived many lifetimes, this is what you need to get in touch with, because this is who you're going back to. Wiser. Before birth, what do they say? People are wise. After birth, people are wiser or something. Yeah, we get amnesia from the trauma of birth. Now, babies have no ego. They rub feces all over themselves. They smile at the angels. Then, as soon as that top of their head gets hard, that they're cut off from their guides, their imaginary friends disappear, and then the ego starts building up, you know. And then we reach a space where, and that little voice is gone, and the angels seem to abandon us. Then we reach a space where fortunate ones, the mystics among us, and we all have the potential to be a mystic. A mystic isn't a special kind of human being, but every human being is a special kind of mystic. Our own psychic selves wake up. And then we start transcending the ego, and then that voice gets louder and louder. See, I'm saying this because Uranus is the psychic planet. I don't read much of that in astrology, but as a psychic who uses astrology and numerology as my time to get my time frames right, because a lot of psychics have pictures, but they could be decades apart, and that's how I was taught. So. Okay, so this Mars in Aquarius in 2018 is here. It's a time to become more spirited than ever, more fire, more spirited. Will infuse this summer. It's like a force of nature. And as I said, the signature of its entry into Taurus it was is going on right now. The biggest eruption hasn't even started yet, you know. And I lived for in my 20s. I lived for around 5 years in the Big Island, Hilo, and I haven't been there for since then. But I'm thinking, wow, I wonder how if all these memories are coming back of people I really spent a lot of time with, beautiful friends. And there was this one local lady in front of the camera saying, when you come to live in her house, this is what you have to accept. So the Hawaiians are very spiritual. They respect the earth. Back in the 70s when I lived in Hilo, they were just starting to tear down make the beaches private, and surfers and all the hippies were real pissed off because the big industry was coming in, and so yeah, it was. People say I wouldn't recognize Hilo now. I haven't been back there since the late 70s. So, but I remember I lived out in the burbs of Hilo, in a rented house with a lot of friends, and I got to know the locals, and they believe everything is sacred. With rocks. That's why you can't take pieces of lava away from the island. It's bad luck. People take things away and then they get bad luck, and the post office gets all these things back. Okay, so we're not bashing the ego. The ego is responsible for integrity of the personality, for our inner well-being. The ego only pursues its own dreams and ambitions, and so it is very often embitters our life. Yeah, an embittered soul is the one that needs to transcend the ego. People that think that people are getting away, they need to be punished, and if I don't punish them, they won't be punished. They don't trust in divine law there. So this summer, we get until August. I think it's August. So it started 2 days ago. That's the 15th of May. And it goes right through to August 13th. And then Mars backs up from 29 to 28, goes direct on the 28th, 28 degrees Capricorn, then goes direct back into Aquarius on the 11th of September, and then leaves Aquarius November 15th. So with that brief little couple of weeks of Mars backed up into earthy Capricorn. Remember, the planets don't make things happen to you. They simply reflect what's going on. And what I'm doing here is making a correlation between the astrological events and the paradigm changes that are happening on planet Earth. In as far as inequality, women's rights, civil rights in general, and this war, literally the soul of America now is being taken by 40% who are sick. Condoleezza Rice said racism is America's birth defect. So Uranus entry into Taurus now, embracing and Mars in Aquarius, embracing Uranus rules Aquarius, so that's why the two, Mars in Aquarius and Uranus going into Taurus, is intertwined. Of course, Mars energizes where we go. Like, we all have Mars in our chart somewhere. Say, for instance, you have Mars in Sag. These people, like Avarati there, the lawyer, the lawyer that's Michael, the lawyer, Michael Avenatti, as Stormy Daniels' attorney. He's got Mars in Sag. What you see is what you get with Mars in Sag people. Stormy Daniels is all about sex. She's got Mars in Pisces, sexy Pisces. You can almost hear the music in the background and the smoky lights. Yeah, she's... sexuality has got as I talked about, Everything in moderation. I firmly believe you should only have sex with someone you're committed with, in love and committed to. Let's see, Donald Trump's Mars. What are the Trumpsters' Mars? Oh, in Leo, 26 degrees conjunct his 29 degrees Leo rising. All for one, and Donald Trump's the one. So it's all about now this summer, the 6 months going on right through November 15th, embracing our individuality. Be proud of what makes you unique. My family told me because I was gay, I'd be better off dead. If I wasn't a rotten kid, my real parents would have kept me and not given me up for adoption. Well, they're dead now, and I'm loving my life. I understand now, like Chiron, wounded healer. These are people. I didn't say that for sympathy. I'm not condoning it. It was violent. It was terrible. It was ignorant, and thank God, with the grace of God, I rallied through that. And it does get better. I'm urging any young people that watch my show, hang in there. It gets better. Before you know it, you'll be 29, and you'll be Saturnized. Up until 29, Saturn's hard on kids. You're being Saturnized. And then after your Saturn return, you start transcending stuff. It's a gradual process, but me starting, like being in nature, like when people go to spiritual retreats, they take off their name tags and it's just like Mary, Billy, nobody has Dr. So-and-so, corporate counselor for, they leave their titles behind and they just are there for a weekend of being in nature. And if you're in the city, there's lots of opportunities, the nature of the city. Like I live around Civic Center area, and there's the Opera Plaza has beautiful landscape and very quiet little spots with fountains and war memorials and roses. There's all, I just been in the rain with my umbrella, I sit there and just can't get over nature. Oh yeah. And now that the colors I haven't been outside without my dark glasses yet, but just around, indoors without my dark glasses, it's like I had no idea what I was missing. So there's no fears with cataract surgery, and I was very fearful of it. As a matter of fact, a few friends of the show called me and said, I share a lot of my personal life with people because that's how I was taught. The woman who taught me, what I'm doing now, she used to share her own life's experiences, and it's important not to bond with wounds. It's important not to bond with wounds. You may delay, but time will not. Oh, Ben Franklin said that. Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, a right delayed is a right denied. And there's a lot of rights being denied. And here in San Francisco, we got a mayor election, and I'm really afraid that I got to see my ego there. I could do the best I can to support Leno. Mark Leno, I believe, is the right guy for the job, but there's a lot of people who think tough love is what the homeless need. No, it's Ed Lee's ruthless greed is why we have the homeless in such a... he made the people homeless. And let's go back to Ronald Reagan, who closed down all the mental facilities, and now a mentally ill person has to be convicted of a felony to be put in a state prison where they have a mental hospital facility, a mental ward in that. Now that's so wrong, and I think Leno's the only one who's going to help. As I said, there's a woman running who's... I'm not going to mention her name, but she's got her whole ad is what people need in San Francisco is tough love. No, what you need, sister, is therapy. What you need is to get you know, you've been carrying that bug up your ass for a long time, and it's time to roll up your sleeve and pull it out. Excuse my language, but how else can you say it, you know? That's so many people, you know, bitter people, you know. I'm, thank God at 70, I'm at a stage now where I don't have to, like, put myself in spots where there's alcohol and, yeah, you know, my ego needed that for a while because I was going to help people. But I remember Louise Hay used to say, you can't give me to someone. It never works. And finally, after 40 years of working with the public, I realized when people want to give me to someone, I just right off the bat say, oh, no, that won't work. And they hang up and I never hear from them again. But as I said, right now, this is all about embracing your uniqueness. Do your mirror work. Most people can't look in the mirror and tell themselves they're beautiful, I love you. They look in the mirror and they're so quick to spot lines and wrinkles and craving and gray hair or hair falling out, or, you know, you know, actually what causes baldness is worry, because you tighten your skull and then that cuts off the blood and everything. That's why they have scalp massagers. You know, just get rid of fear. Fear is addiction. Fear is a toxic substance, strips our stomach lining, sets us up from a multitude of diseases. And it's addictive. It's a very subtle addiction. People are so addicted to getting, you know, one goddamn thing after another. Now, I don't want to be, you know, but there's so many people walking around with chips on their shoulder, and they got kids. You know, I see them all the time, all colors, black, brown, white, orange, and they got the phone in their hand, and they're like totally angry, and they got this kid shaking in a stroller, you know. This kid you're terrorizing, the best job you'll ever do is creating that life. This kid will be in therapy in 20 years if he lives that long. You know, I don't have any kids, and I so naturally people snap at me. Well, you don't know what it's like, Frank. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I can't argue with people there. I bet, you know, when I used to do fairs, I would. I cut my teeth on the public, you know, and for the most part, the general public was very pro-psychics. But I don't go around giving people thrills anymore. So this is a summer where we got to get involved. Like James Brown, rest his soul, used to say, get involved, get involved. There is nobody in this world like you. You were given strengths, talents, flaws, and weaknesses that nobody has. During this time, you must live closely to your inner voice. Listen closely to your inner voice and do exactly what you're guided to do. Do not let the expectations of others tarnish the purity of yourself. Do not allow someone else's idea of who you are dictate the steps you take. Or they're trying to convince us that America is not what countless people died for. Freedom, give us you're tired, you're poor. We've got this monster, this, you know, one thing about Nixon is he felt sad sometimes. He felt general sadness. We have a man, Donald Trump, who is incapable of any emotion. He's I believe clinically he's a dangerous man. He's got no, well, there's many, I don't want to, you know, calling him an animal is a degrading of animals. You know, there's not even a parasite is more useful than him. Dirt, it could be at least made. I think his only worth is that he's exactly what we need to a pathetic, wretched man with, that spark is dead. That spark is dead. Well, you know, his wife just had kidney trouble, and kidneys are all about disappointments. So let's see what we get here. Kidneys, lungs, neck, palsy, pain. Pain is guilt. Guilt seeks punishment, punishment seeks pain. Nervous breakdown. Nerves don't attack us, and and hearts don't break down. Now, hearts don't attack us, and nerves don't break down. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, growing up in the 50s, my mother and all her girlfriends were always aggravated and having nervous breakdowns and taking pills. You know, it was better living through chemistry. God, well, they're all dead now, so live long and prosper. Okay, kidneys. Okay, knee, K, kidneys. Kidney problems, criticism, disappointment, failure, shame, reacting like a little kid. Yeah, disappointments. I know many people who are suffering with, and have suffered and died terrible, painful deaths. Dialysis is a real painful experience, and I pray for them all. But it's all about being disappointed. What do they say? Never disappoint a child or an alcoholic. I'm not a child. I'm not an alcoholic. This is happening for me, not to me. I know there's a gift in here. And you dust yourself back up, and you get back in. And then the new thought pattern is divine right action is always taking place in my life. Only good comes from each experience. It is safe to grow up. So Melania Trump is growing up and hopefully out of that marriage. Whenever anybody tells you what they have is incurable, you got to realize what they're saying is cannot be cured by outer means at this point. We must go within to effect the cure. It came from nowhere and will go back to nowhere. Miracles happen every day. I go within to dissolve the pattern that created this, and I now accept a divine healing, and so it is. When you transcend the ego, you got to think not only individually, but our collective consciousness ego is really into like kill them, overkill, kill first, weapons, guns. It's so where most civilized countries are South America, Spain. They're totally accepting of the idea that extraterrestrial life exists. They know without a doubt in their mind that human life is not the ultimate. There is higher consciousness, and in all these infinite galaxies, to think that human beings is the only life there is, and there's no intelligent beings, that's just an ego out of control, and it's only in America. All Latinos are very comfortable with UFOs. I've seen many documentaries, and I've known people who in these countries, and I've lived in Central America, and yes, extraterrestrials are, it's not a stretch, but in America, if you even, look at Jerry Brown, Governor Brown, God bless him, he's still being called Moonbeam from the 60s there, the early 70s, whenever he, yeah, so we've got this image of being cold and calloused, and and it hasn't always been that way. Way back, no matter what color you were, you could go up to a policeman and pretty much they were your friend. Nowadays, especially if you're a person of color, you got to stay away. They'll shoot you. It's open season on the youth. Anyway, but this is a summer now. It's not hopeless. Do not let the expectations of others tarnish. Yes, so don't let Donald Trump's sick, twisted, perverted, vulgar picture of what his America is. I think we need to get rid of him. But as I said, if we didn't have him, we'd have to invent him, if he didn't exist. Because as I said, look at, as I said earlier, Pat Sajak calling people on parole who have to report to their parole officer animals. No, they're human beings who made a mistake, Donald Trump and Pat Sajak, you morons. What did the bus say? No moron, and then the door closed and they took off. Let me see what's going on, what my view is. They always love when I do the cards, so I brought my tarot cards, and let me see. Now. Today is May 17th. The moon is in Cancer. let's see what's going on. So America, the United States of America, is in a 22 year. 11 and 2018 is 11. So add 2 or 11 to your day and month, and reduce it to one digit, unless it's 11, 22, 33, 44, and then you get your numerology for this year. Because most people didn't do a good enough spring ritual, and they sort of like didn't understand when the seasons change and we start spring, the whole vibration changes, and a lot of people I've been seeing since the vernal equinox are still carrying a lot of last year's energy into this year. Say you're 9 year and you're in a 1 year. And so whatever you're in, get rid of like your 6 year, and if you're entering a 7 year, personal 7 year, realize it's not going to be, it's a year to relax and just go in the cave and perfect your instrument. What did Charlie Parker say? Perfect your instrument, then just play. You know, these cell phones are so damaging, I don't know, to people's consciousness, and yet it's everywhere. Okay, so let's see what we have here. What do my viewers need to know about this government and the paradigm changes that are underway? Well, first of all, the journey is the destination. We're having fun. You know, it's like, doesn't mean you're condoning it, but you just realize that our things we take for granted now. You know, Donald Trump's, what he's doing behind the scenes make him even more despicable. Someone said to me, oh, I hate Donald Trump. And I said, well, I'm not going to throw away 60-something, 70 years of spiritual work down the tubes on one guy. You know, there's nobody, like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, make you so low as to hate them. You know, you could pity them. Yeah, we all need to really nurture ourselves. There's the Queen of Wands. Play with this 6 months now. Get into nature. Animals are nature. There's a place on Gough Street here in San Francisco where you could go in and have tea and play with cats. It's like a cat house for cats. You know, my heart's in the right place. Hey, don't put me on a pedestal. I'm going to fall. I wasn't meant. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay, getting established financially now. Remember, money is the easiest thing to make, to manifest. And actually, Taurus is how you make money. Scorpio is how you spend it. But doing it with integrity. Don't lose track of integrity. It's good karma, you know, bad karma. Look at Donald Trump now. He's got decades. Oh, he's going out, you know, there's no doubt about it. And it ain't going to be pretty. And I'm not going to relish it. I'll just, you know, as I said, the next 6 months, this is a summer of really using that Uranus in Aquarius as lightning flashes to get us on the right path. It gets us off of one path and onto the right path and liberate us. It's all about, Aquarius is all about democracy, justice, the American way. Now with this perverted idea, this bastard president, illegitimate president, and I'm not cursing when I say bastard. Bastard means like his bastard policies. You know, they're just like a bastard child. They're illegitimate. He's a illegitimate president. We need to have we need to get rid of all his appointments. Yeah, that's as I was saying. Behind the scenes, he's put in place these very young, like at least 30 of them, very young in their 30s, right-wing, very sick people who believe in a twisted America, Donald Trump's America, and they're going to be there for lifetime appointments. So not only do we have to get rid of Donald Trump, but we need to delete all those appointments. There's only one woman of color, a beautiful young woman of color, on one of these talk shows, because I'm just like, you know, the revolution is happening, and they told me it wouldn't be televised, so I'm constantly watching the news channels, MSNBC, CNN, and only one woman this last month, over the last 2 months, has said we have to get rid of Citizens United. We got to get big money out. It's the only one. The Democrats still haven't come up with that. I haven't heard any Democrats say that. I think they've given it up. But I believe, as I said, only one woman of color, one black chick there is the only sister out there who had the nerve to say the truth that, yes, that's scary, you know, that only one woman, never mind her color, you know, and nobody's, you know, talking about it. It's sort of like it's hopeless, you know. Well, I'm good with hopeless cases. So what I'm getting now is things just, I keep on saying August. By August, that would be a decent month. And for America, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that'll be a 3. Yeah, all these jobs, they keep on saying all these jobs, they're horrible jobs. They're not, they're jobs that hurt the environment. You know, we've just because of the global effort, the ozone layer is finally shrinking. It's closing. It's amazing, but America is now polluting oceans, streams, killing wildlife in Alaska, closing parks. We have the destroyer of this planet is in charge now, and I want everybody to understand this next 6 months of with all this Earth. It's not only Uranus and Taurus, it's Saturn and Capricorn. And Saturn in Capricorn is in opposition to Donald Trump's Mercury. So he's going to have to be, he's going to have every I dotted and every T crossed, and Mercury's with your commerce. So now he's got a lot of explaining to do. And yeah, I was looking at Donald Trump's chart before I was waiting for the show to start, and I said his running roughshod over family members is from a past life, and his as I said his is impossible to every time his mouth moves, he's lying. He just doesn't know how not to lie. Okay, so that's the big deal now. So even though the new moon is past, it's never too late to press that reset button. With all this earthy stuff going on, plant something and watch it grow. The universe loves symbolic gestures. I always say, throw your arms wide open every morning and tell the universe, I am open to receive the abundance that the universe is more than happy to bestow upon me. But people are afraid to open up because if they do, they might get something horrible, ... And they will, unless they get whatever's in their subconscious attached to gloom or doom. So with Mercury with Scorpio retrograde, Jupiter in Scorpio retrograde, along with Neptune in Pisces, that's water. So again, feminine, we get to go within. Still water runs deep. By the way, DDTV, go to SFC TV and check out the schedule, and thanks for supporting Cable Access TV. Dee does a wonderful tribute to Stevie Wonder, and not a day goes by I don't get my spirituality from Higher Ground or some Stevie Wonderful song. So, and I know Dee is as fond of Stevie Wonderful as I am. Yeah, Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius. Yeah, we have the Sagittarius full moon, May 29th. Mars retrograde, June 26th to August 27th. A time to slow down, rethink our desires and direction, and regenerate our vitality. Mars conjoins the South Node in Aquarius, indicating a loss of vitality and power when we try to force our ideas on others. Follow the dictates of our own mind rather than our heart, and sacrifice our authenticity and be accepted by others. No, don't twist yourself to be somebody. Yeah, it's hard to be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you somebody else. Buy this, don't do that. Vote for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother. Yeah, so No, I know that just went phew, right over a lot of people's heads. So there's the Magician card. So the best gift you could give this planet is to be a fully, a truly healthy you. And just when you hear Donald Trump and his cronies, these horrible pirates, despicable pirates, lying and cheating and stealing the food out of young people. I mean, just cutting out education. Well, this is the end of the Piscean age. I'm so glad I remembered that. It takes thousands of years. We've been in the Piscean age. And that's a karmic debt thing. Until we are literally on the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Just like the song, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. So this is a summer of get out there, let your freak flag fly. As James Brown said, get involved. If you're not totally outraged and appalled, you're not paying attention. Get out there and just get out of the house. And talk to people. You know, we live in Oz here in San Francisco, and I don't do Facebook or Twitter yet. So, but I remember when I was doing Facebook, there's a whole world out there that I realize is very much that I know that 40% is real. But I also heard something optimistic that back in McCarthy era, there was another, that has always been 40%. This has been part of the American birth defect. You know, this 40% of these are the people that never got over the freedom of slavery. They called it War of Northern Aggression to this day. There's always been just the media now is out of control, and now it's like things are more like they are now than they have ever been before. No, the media is. There's still that, you know, as I said, we're going to see Donald. It's going to be quite a show to see him the military drag him out of there. But it will happen. Let's keep that picture. I love you, and I'll be back here. One magic moment. Okay, I'll be back here on May 17th. Oh, that's the May 17th is today. Yeah, I missed them. Okay, so I'll be back here June 7th and June 21st. Thank you.